Hello agents, and welcome to another daily episode of Targeted Loot. Today, your daily farming guide for Friday, January 22nd. In this series, we cover a lot. We got the Targeted Loot map, Dark Zone exclusives, highlights for the weekly vendors, and of course build and farming suggestions as well. This is Shadow Gaming, and if you're new to the channel and enjoy this video, consider pressing the thumbs up and subscribe buttons below, and if you didn't, a thumbs down. And remember to hit those bell notification icons to all so you never miss a daily morning video. Comment below if you have any questions or feedback whatsoever. Otherwise, let's get this video started. Alright agents, so starting off with the Dark Zones and of course vendor reset highlights, which are always in that big bottom left overlay. My biggest, recommendations for this week would be the Rock and Roll Shotgun with Perfectly Extra over in the DZ West vendor for 152 DZ resources. And then the other recommendation I would have is this Force Multiplier Backpack with Perfect Combined Arms at the White House for 15,000 credits. It's rolled with Skill Haste and Skill Damage. This is exactly how you want it rolled. I just don't know if this is going to be high enough for you personally, but I think that it's quite worth it unless you want to just farm for a better one. Now over here in DZ West, we do have Foundry Bulwark, which you could farm for. I normally only cover Dark Zone exclusives, which we'll be doing in the south and east side, but for Foundry Bulwark, I always recommend running it with the Emperor's Guard knee pads. And then of course you want to also add some Bellstone Armory to that if you don't have the chest and backpack, since they are Iron Horse raid exclusive. Otherwise, I don't really recommend farming for them in the Dark Zone. Next up, we got DZ South Bellstone Armory. We do have a Dark Zone exclusive, the Liquid Engineer with Perfect Bloodsucker backpack, which is really good, and I highly suggest you guys farm for it. I actually have a solo, player DPS armor regen build that utilizes this backpack. I'd definitely check it out in the top title card right now. Next up in DZ East, we got Grupo Sombra at DZ East. So of course you could farm the Door Kicker's Knock with Perfect Spark. That's a DZ exclusive chest piece. If anyone's looking for it, definitely farm for it today. Otherwise, I have no other recommendations. So let's go check out what we got on the north side now. Alright agents, north side Targeted Loot highlights. Starting off with the invaded missions this week, we got Lincoln Memorial, and then of course Jefferson Plaza, Space Administration HQ, Capitol Building Stronghold, and then Tidal Basin. Over here at Camp White Oak today, we got knee pads as targeted loot, so I'd recommend the two exotics, Ninja Bike Messenger knee pads and Sawyers, which are almost total opposite types. With the Ninja Bike Messenger knee pads, it's run and gun. You vault or do cover to cover and instantly reload your equipped weapon, and you get some bonus armor. And then with Sawyers, it's more for sitting still, because every second that you sit still, you get 1% weapon damage all the way up to 30%. Otherwise, you can farm for the Fox's Prayer knee pads with 8% damage to targets out of cover, which is multiplicative damage, the best type of damage in this game. And of course, you always want to roll 10% damage to targets out of cover on your weapon, and you pair that with those knee pads, and it's great for any DPS build. Next up, we got rifles at Coney Island Ballpark. So of course, two exotics, Merciless and the Diamondback. Now the Merciless is pretty good, but it's very unstable. So you might have to run 3-piece striker or put weapon handling or braced on your chest piece or weapon handling all over the place to run it. And the Diamondback is pretty good. It only has 5 shots, but it hits hard. It's good in PvE and PvP. Otherwise, there's some named rifles that I recommend. The Baker's Dozen with Perfect Lucky Shot and the Surge with Perfect Spike. Those two are really great. But always remember that the Harmony with Perfectly in Sync does not drop outside of the Dark Zone unless it's in a named item cache or something like that. And then we got chest pieces at the amusement park. So two exotics, Tardigrade, which you could just straight up farm for. It's great for, supporting your team with all that bonus armor. And then of course the Ridgeway's Pride, which you need to get, the project from the summit first and then complete it. Otherwise, if someone shares it with you, just like any other exotic, you can keep it. And comment below if you guys know if anyone's got the Ridgeway's Pride chest piece shared. Does it complete the project, or do you still have the project to do after someone shared it with you? And then of course Kenley College is open for another 3 days, and the summit you pick your own target to lose. So let's go check out what we got on the west and east sides of DC now. Alright agents, west side Targeted Loot highlights. Starting off with gear sets, we got Ongoing Directive at Federal Emergency Bunker today. So of course I got 2 bleed damage builds I always recommend to you guys. The first one, you do need that Ridgeway's Pride chest piece, 4 pieces of Ongoing Directive, and the Anarchist Cookbook with Perfect Wicked. And then of course I always run that with the Carnage with Perfect Sadist, and of course the Scorpio Exotic Shotgun with Septic Shock. And then the second one is 4 pieces of Ongoing Directive, a Badger Tough backpack with Creeping Death talent, and the Vile Mask. Both of those are very viable, good DPS bleed damage builds. Next up, we got Aces and Eights over here at Bank HQ. Now, of course, there's a great headshot, damage gear set. So, of course, you would do 3 pieces of Aces and Eights, 2 pieces of Heraldo Holding, one of those being a backpack, and I would put Vigilance on it or Composure, and then the Chain Killer chest piece with Perfect Headhunter. And I always run that with a Mantis as my primary, or Ekim's Long Stick or the White Death as a secondary. Last 2 we got is Rigger over here at Tidal Basin. It's great, although I don't have a build recommendation for it just yet. It's for instant cooldowns. It's definitely the successor to Hardwired, and I don't even think that Hardwired's worth it anymore, so definitely pick this up instead. The backpack and chest piece are not raid exclusive. You get instant cooldowns and skill damage when you cancel your skill or change targets. And the last one is Hunter's Fury at Potomac Event Center, probably my favorite gear set in this game for SMGs and shotguns. And I'll put my favorite Hunter's Fury build in the top title card right now. That's going to be 4 pieces of Hunter's Fury, the Death Grip gloves, and the Memento backpack. And I always run that with the Dark Winter and the Scorpio shotgun, 3 armor cores, 4 weapon cores, and the skill tier from the Memento. And if you don't have the Death Grip gloves because they're Dark Zone exclusive, then I would recommend running a Sokolov chest piece with Intimidate or Obliterate, and then just replace those gloves with a Hunter's Fury piece. For normal targeted loot, we got Petrov at Downtown West. You could farm the Contractor's gloves with 8% damage to armor, which is excellent for any LMG build that you're going to be running, or if you want to stack damage to armor with a couple pieces of Walker Harrison Co. And then of course the Lady Death or an assault rifle. And then we got backpacks over here at Foggy Bottom, so you can farm for that Memento backpack with kill confirmed and the Acosta's Go bag with 1 in the hand. I highly recommend the Memento. It's probably the best gear exotic piece in the game, and I never use the Acosta's Go bag to be totally honest. Although it can be pretty good for granting overcharge, I guess, on some skill damage builds. Otherwise, that's really what I recommend for backpacks. And then of course, Walker Harrison Co. over here at Constitutional Hall. You can farm that Chain Killer chest piece with Perfect Headhunter. I don't think any headshot damage build should go without this, and I always roll weapon damage, weapon handling, and then headshot damage on it. We also got gear system mods at DCD HQ today if you want to run it on Heroic to try to farm some God rolled mods. We got Overlord here at West Potomac Park if you want to farm Fox's Prayer instead of knee pads over here, because I usually like to farm the brand, not the type. It seems to yield better results because the loot pool decreases. And then if you're looking for those BTSU data gloves today, you can definitely get them at Roosevelt Island. It's gloves targeted loot, and those grant overcharge for you or anyone that's skill tier 6 in your team or group. So definitely get those if you need them for your skill damage or skill healing build. Last couple I recommend would be holsters, the DARPA Research Lab. So you got 3 exotic holsters, the Waveform, the Imperial Dynasty holster, and the Dodge City. The Waveform you get as a Season 4 reward at level 90, and the other 2 you could just straight up farm for, but you can farm for all 3 of them. I think you just need to unlock the Waveform at level 90 first. Otherwise, you can get these forged with 50% shield health. That's like a whole extra skill tier worth of shield health, but the Claws Out holster is a Dark Zone exclusive. And then we got MMRs at the Pentagon. If you guys are looking for either the Mantis or the Nemesis, those are the 2 exotic MMRs in this game you could farm for, but keep in mind the Nemesis is a quest only exotic. So you need to get Puck's blueprint first from the Grand Washington Hotel and then craft it at the White House. Otherwise, if you're running with a teammate, always let them know what you're farming for so they could share it with you possibly. And I think that about covers the west side. Let's go check out now what we got on the east side. Alright agents, east side target loot highlights. Starting out with gear sets, I'll just go with Strikers at Viewpoint Museum because I only recommend using 3 pieces, never 4. The damage just never adds up compared to an all high-end DPS build or a Hunter's Fury, or even like a true Patriot build honestly, but 3 pieces for just rate of fire and weapon handling. And then we got Future Initiative at Jefferson Trade Center. Remember, the chest and backpack are Iron Horse raid exclusive just like Foundry Bulwark. But no worries, because if you don't have those, you can always use an Alp Summit chest piece with Empathetic Resolve and another Alp Summit backpack with Safeguard on it. Or you could use Richter and Kaiser. Next up, we got Negotiator's Dilemma at Southwest area. So of course, I'll put my double LMG build in the top title card right now. That's 4 pieces of Negotiator's Dilemma and the Coyote's Mask. And then of course, I run either 1 pair of Grupo Sombro gloves or the Contractor's gloves. And I use the Pestilence or the Bullet King. And if I'm not using the Pestilence or the Bullet King, I run the Grupo Sombro gloves. And I use that with an assault rifle or a SMG. For normal targeted loot, we got Badger Tough at Space Administration HQ. You could farm the 0F's chest piece with Perfect Unbreakable. That's great for DPS hybrid builds to add some survivability to your chest, and then you can add something like Vigilance to your backpack for damage. And then Providence Defense at Air and Space Museum today, you could farm the Sacrifice of Perfect Glass Cannon. That amplifies all damage you deal by 30%, but all damage you get by 60%. So you become extremely squishy, and that's, something I really don't like. I prefer Intimidate or Obliterate over it, but it is really good on all DPS and skill damage builds if you're willing to be that squishy. And we got a roll of holdings over here at American History Museum. I always recommend weapon damage, weapon handling, and headshot damage whenever you're messing with a headshot damage build, and you always want that headshot damage above 200%. Next up, we got Golan Gear Federal Triangle. You can farm the Anarchist Cookbook with Perfect Wicked, which goes on that ongoing directive build that I told you about on the west side. Definitely worth farming for sure. Then we got Hana Yu with Judiciary Square. So of course you can farm that Force Multiplier backpack with Perfect Combined Arms if you don't want to get that one at the White House. It gives you that 30% skill damage every 3 seconds you land a shot on an NPC or player, but you do want it rolled with skill haste and skill damage for sure. Last couple we got is Douglas and Harding at District Union Arena. You could farm the Punch Drunk Mask with 20% headshot damage baked into it. That goes great on an all high-end headshot damage build. And then lastly, we got assault rifles in Downtown East. So of course you can farm for the 2 exotic assault rifles, the Chameleon with Adaptive Instincts and the Capacitor with Capacitance. The Eagle Bearer is still a Dark Hours raid exclusive. But remember, with the Capacitor, you need to get it from the summit by completing 5 summit challenges, and you can do that on any difficulty, so keep that in mind as well. Otherwise, there's some named assault rifles in the bottom left overlay. I recommend the Mechanical Animal, Future Perfection, the Test Subject, Perfectly in Sync, and the Burnout Name Famas. Those 3 are great. Otherwise, that's really all I recommend for the DC area. Let's go check out what we got in New York City last. Alright agents, finally New York City targeted loot highlights. Starting off with the main highlight for today, this is going to be submachine guns in the Civic Center area. So I'll try to leave a open world NYC bosses map in the pen comment below. So definitely check that out because you got 3 exotics with SMGs. You got the Lady Death, the Backfire, and the Chatterbox. And if you haven't gotten the Chatterbox yet, I'll put a video, 5 minutes how to get it really fast. And then of course the Lady Death has a 3% chance to drop from open world NYC bosses, and then a 7% chance on heroic under SMG targeted loot. So that's a total of 10% chance to get it to drop today if you farm open world NYC bosses in this area, and I think there's a few here. Otherwise, keep in mind that the Dark Winter and the Apartment are SMGs that are Dark Zone exclusive, so you cannot farm for them outside of the Dark Zone. They just come out of named item caches and stuff if you don't farm the Dark Zone area for them. And then of course the named SMGs that do drop from NPCs outside of the Dark Zone would be the Safety Distance with Perfect Outsider and the Grudge with Perfect Vindictive. Both of those are great. Next up, we got True Patriot at the Tombs. I'll put my True Patriot build in the top right card now. It's an SMG build that utilizes 4 pieces of True Patriot, a Sokolov chest piece with Intimidate, and the Memento backpack, and I run it with the Lady Death and the Mob. And sometimes I run it with the Scorpio as well, but it is really good. It takes a lot of damage. It's good solo and in group, all the way up to 4-man groups. And of course, you can take it all the way to Legendary Summit, but I haven't tested it with Legendary Stronghold yet. And then of course Hardwired I don't recommend anymore. Seska for your extra 10% crit hit chance. We got Eclipse right here at Financial District. I got a great fire damage build I could put in the top right card. That's 4 pieces of Eclipse Protocol. And then of course the Imperial Dynasty holster and 1 piece of Golan gear for that added 10% status effects. I always run that with the Stinger Hive and the Firestarter Chem Launcher. That's also great for solo and 4-man groups. It just sets everything on fire. And you can also run it with the Vile Mass instead of the Imperial Dynasty. And then you could run the Demolitionist spec instead of the Firewall to increase the damage of the debuff from the Vile Mask if you want to. But I personally prefer a Firewall. And the last couple we got is LMGs at Liberty Island. That'd be cool if it was at Wall Street, but we got 2 exotics, right? Bullet King and Pestilence. Bullet King you never have to reload, and the Pestilence you can get that damage tick to over 1 million a tick, especially with that Negotiator's Dilemma build I was telling you about earlier. And remember that's based off weapon damage, not status effects. The Pestilence technically does not give the enemy a status effect. Otherwise, the named LMGs that you could farm for in the bottom left overlay, the Black Friday is a Dark Zone exclusive, the other ones are not. And last but not least, we got masks at Wall Street. There's 2 exotics, the Coyotes mask and then the Vial mask. Both of those are great for what they need to be done with. So like Coyotes for DPS builds. It also goes great in groups, so you can give your allies and yourself crit hit chance and crit hit damage. And then the Vial mask is great for just status effects and skill damage and even crowd control as well. And that's pretty much all I recommend for the New York City area. Alright agents, well that was your daily farming guide for today. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, consider pressing those subscribe, like, and share buttons below, and if not, a thumbs down. If you'd like to become a member for extra support and exclusive perks, you can click the join button below, and thank you and shout out to all 5 of my channel members. I really appreciate the extra support. Always remember to check my video description and pinned comments below for links to support my channel, my merch store, my Discord server, my clan on all platforms, and all sorts of useful information for you guys too. Take care guys, and be sure to stay tuned for more daily Division 2 content. This is Shadow Gaming signing off. I will see you in the next video. Take care agents.